Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about season 2 of Andor. So, season 2 of Andor, I've watched it through episode 9. There's really no spoilers here. Um, but it is shocking, and it really answers a it it presents evidence that I'm right about Dungeons and Dragons. All right, so real quick, what do I believe about Dungeons and Dragons? Well, first of all, I have an entire um I have a unique opinion on Dungeons and Dragons, right? And it is that it is not a game. It is a human improvement engine. Like, it was literally designed to help people cut their personal deficiencies in half rather than goblins in half. Uh, no one in the world believes this but me, but I think there's mounting evidence that this is true, and season 2 of Andor is additional evidence. So let me present it to you so you can understand my opinion on D&D. So Grace Randolph, absolutely, she is the number one movie reviewer in the world. So she gets into it with this, right? And she's like, so she goes on a live and she talks about Andor episodes 7 through 9 and just says that it's very good, but the build was too slow, right? And Andor season 1 was shocking. Like, every critic loved it, and every super down in the weeds Star Wars fan absolutely loved it, right? But most people didn't watch it. Most people absolutely refused to watch it. Well, why? Why did they refuse to watch it? Because it's not fun. It's not entertainment. It's not enjoyable in any way. The whole premise is, hey, would you like to see how the rebellion was funded? Just the money was gotten together prior to the Battle of Yavin. You're going to get to see every tax form. You're going to see how they amortized their investments. And people are like, no, I don't want to see that. So logically, that should fail. It should not work. And it didn't. Nobody watched it, right? Now, wait. So how did it get season 2? That's a darn good question. Because season 1 of Andor cost $200 million, right? Season 2 of Andor cost $200 million, right? They both are presented by Tony Gilroy, who is famous for telling extremely difficult, extremely inaccessible narratives, right? And so none of this makes sense. This doesn't make sense in any way. So Grace comes on and she's talking, and somebody pays. So Grace comes on this live and she's discussing season 2, episodes 7 through 9 of Andor. And she's like, this is too slow. This shouldn't even exist. This should not exist, right? And she's like, they didn't put their business hat on. This is great content that no one will watch, which would be fine if you spent $40 million for 2 seasons, but they spent $400 million. Actually, 200, like, and those are estimates, but pretty much everybody's saying this is about $400 million for these 2 seasons, right? They built huge practical sets. Like, they wrote entire new languages. It's incredible, right? And so where do we land with this? I've never seen anything like this before in my life. So get this, right? It's shocking. It is absolutely shocking what happened with Andor 2. So Grace is on a live and she's discussing it, and somebody spends £5 for a super chat, right? And they say, enough Andor bashing. Andor season 2 is not meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be understood academically. And you're not an academic, right? And so I was like, that's outrageously insulting to Grace. But she read it, and then she said, you know what? That can all be true if this thing cost 1/10 of what it cost. But at these kind of prices, knowing no one's going to watch these seasons, right? Extremely few. Like, this is like if you did, like, can you imagine if you pitched and you're like, okay, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but listen, the entire show is going to be a sequel where there's no Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's just Shredder reading the forms for how his sewer sewer area is zoned. He's going to sneak in and read the zoning forms for how his sewer area is not zoned for residential. You're like, no, that's not going to work. And then some executive's like, here's $200 million for your non-residential sewer zoning shredder prequel. It doesn't make sense, right? So this person says this isn't even meant to be enjoyed, right? Like, and then Grace is like, this is a Star Wars show. People want to see lightsabers and pew pew, right? Like, and then she says, and then Grace says, what Andor is a donation, right? Disney is putting their money up knowing they're never going to get a return. They're simply not going to get viewers for something they put $400 million into, right? So this person is saying this show is not meant to be enjoyed, right? It's not entertainment. Grace is saying this is a donation, right? So there's massive confusion on what the heck Andor season 2 is, okay? Now I'm going to tell you what it is, okay? Andor season 2 is proof that there is zero problem on the Star Wars brand. Everybody in the world is like, oh, Star Wars is in a lot of trouble. No, it's not. And the reason why is absolutely no one has caught up. Star Trek is so far behind you can't even see it, right? Discovery was just a pile of garbage that no one wants to watch. It's been out for like 6 years. I'm desperately trying to pull myself through it. It's like pulling myself over ground glass. It's horrible, right? And no other sci-fi has caught up. Nobody's even close, right? And so what Andor season 2 is actually the creation of a brand new type of fan, the super fan, a fan who is so dedicated that they don't need enjoyment to engage with your intellectual property. And Star Wars has Mandalorian and Grogu coming out. That's going to be the lightsabers and pew pew. That's going to be the bread, and that's going to be the bread and circuses for the masses, right? But Star Wars is saying we're going to have the best type of super rich, super wealthy, super educated, super erudite, super fans of Star Wars. Star Wars Andor 2 is so good that it makes it laughable to think that Star Wars has any problem as a brand. It's literally making the uber fan, okay? And then in addition to that, it says to every other intellectual property on the planet, you guys are 30 years behind. 30 years behind. Because you don't even have any space to do this, right? So it is truly tremendously good, right? And it's so good, people don't even understand what it is. And that's exactly what Dungeons & Dragons is. People are like, why do you say that Dungeons & Dragons is this thing? Because I'm the only person in the world who knows it, right? And the reality is, it's so good. What it really is the most powerful narrative tool in the world, the most powerful identity tool in the world on the secular side. That's what Dungeons & Dragons is. But I'm the only person who sees that right now. But Andor Season 2 is proof of this. Increasingly, we have multiple companies dumping money into projects that will never return their money. And not little amounts, huge amounts of money into projects they know will never return. And it then begs the question, what is happening? And the reality is we are changing how humanity interacts with narrative, and Disney is catching up and doing that to Dungeons & Dragons. What Dungeons & Dragons is doing is it has already completely innovated how humans interact with identity. Disney ain't even close to that, right? They have to do one thing at a time. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.